Well, hello, hello. Excuse me. Someone's a little bit raspy already this morning. I've been knocking out this audiobook, let me tell you. Pardon me. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me again today for this live Q&A. And I have to say that you guys are absolutely amazing. I've just eclipsed like 9,000 subscribers. It just blows my mind. Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you that subscribe and like and comment and ask questions. I appreciate all of you. I really do. For those of you that are just joining for the first time, my name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator. And my channel is dedicated to all of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business, and I answer your questions. And I've had some just crazy traffic on my Fiverr gigs lately, so I've been a little overwhelmed with that. I'm not complaining, but it is challenging to get everything done. And when I say everything, I mean responding to all the questions and interacting like I should. So I apologize if you've answered, or excuse me, asked questions on some of my other YouTube videos and I haven't responded. I apologize for that. I am going to address some of those today. Actually, let me just do that really quick. I also wanted to note that there is a poll. As always, I'm going to try to have a poll for every live just to get a better pulse on what everybody else is doing because I'm curious. And today's poll was, what DAW do you use? And DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation, and it is the software that you use to record and edit your voiceovers. I personally use Adobe Audition, and I apologize. There were only 4 slots for options, and I know that some of you, and I've already seen it once or twice in here, I think. Oh, Kirk says I vanished. Did I vanish? It says I'm still streaming. Can you guys see and hear me okay? Ruh-roh. I'm going to keep going just in case, but if you guys could let me know that I'm still there, would be great. It looks like some of you use Logic Pro, which is cool. But again, there was only 4 slots for options. Can you guys let me know if I'm still there? I don't see any comments. Let me just check my YouTube really quick. Let's see if I can see myself. Let me see. Again, there was only 4. I still see me, so I'm hoping that you guys can see me okay. Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Andy and Jeanette. I appreciate it. Okay, well, let's hope that everything goes okay. What was I talking about? Oh, the poll. Okay, so there's only 4 slots for options. Okay, so we have 9 of you have voted so far. So we have 33% Adobe Audition, 11% of you use Reaper, and 11% use Studio One, and 44% use Audacity. And Audacity is great. It's free. It's free to download, free to use. It's available for Mac and for PC. And I used it. I used it for, maybe the first 2 or 3 months, maybe in the voiceover business, until I was introduced to Adobe Audition. And for me, it just made sense. But again, as I always say, do or use whatever you're most comfortable with, because again, it's your business. It's your call, right? So you do you. Okay, everybody says that I'm here and I'm working. You can hear and see me, so we're good. Okay, fabulous. All right, so really quick, I wanted to go back and answer just a couple of questions that I hadn't responded to some of my other videos. Let me see if I can share my screen so you guys can see which ones that I am talking about here. And I am not completely tech savvy when it comes to OBS, but let me just do this here. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. I'm going to go back a little bit here and let's see. Oh my goodness, I think I've missed quite a few. So let's just do. Okay, Rebecca's I think I answered before. Let's see. Candy, this was, I think we were talking about AI last live, I believe. And let's see, she says AI voice. A few years ago, I was listening to a pretty good book story-wise, but it was so distracting that the narrator's voice would change cadence. The setups and descriptions of what was going on was very monotone and very robotic sounding. But when there was dialogue, it changed to more fluid and normal with changes in tone of voice. But the narrator's sound of voice sounded the same. I could just not get through the whole book because of this. I had not yet ventured into voiceover yet, so I didn't understand what was happening. I went into an audiobook Facebook group to ask what was up with this book, and I was asked to remove my post because the narrator may be in the group. I still didn't get an answer, but I get it now. No, I cannot listen to that type of reading. Yeah, I think it's difficult to listen to an audiobook where the narrator might be new, or unfortunately the subject matter might be not be very interesting to them. You can really hear the difference in when it's being narrated. But I am all for supporting each other and helping each other learn and grow. So I could totally understand. I know there's some Facebook groups out there that don't want that kind of discussion in their group, and I totally understand that. But in regards to the AI voice, I couldn't listen to an AI voice for an audiobook personally, but you never know. They could get really, really good, but I don't see that happening anywhere in the near future. Trisha Kramer says, new voicey here. Thank you for all of your efforts. I'm having an issue with normalizing to -3 dB. It just explodes the sound. I've done something in the setting, I'm sure. Maybe you can help. If you're normalizing to -3 dB and it's making it way too loud, I would try reducing the amount of input gain as you're recording. It may be too loud to start, or you're doing something in your effects chain, when you're adding your EQ or, cleaning up the noise, that sort of thing, when you're processing it with your effects, that you might be adding too much volume at that point. But either way, the volume going in before you normalize to -3 dB may be too loud, or you might even be too close to your microphone. Either way, there's too much volume going in to start before you normalize to -3 dB. So try changing up maybe the mic positioning, how close you are, how loud you're projecting your voice into the microphone, or turn down the volume gain a little bit from your microphone into your DAW. That might help with having it be too loud after you normalize to -3 dB. And I say that from personal experience. The same issue. It takes a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of trial and error to get your process just right. But once you get there, it's magic. It'll save you a whole lot of time. Yashanan Abaya? I hope I pronounced that right. I enjoy walking and talking. With that said, are there any good lapel mics that you would recommend? Cost is not a factor, and I would just flow better from my podcasts while I move. If you're out and about and you're looking to record for podcasts, a lapel mic is a good option. However, you would have to consider all of the other ambient noise that you're also taking in as you're walking around, especially if you're outside, because that lapel mic is going to pick up your voice and everything else around you. So whoever is doing the editing or post-production of your podcasts is probably going to have a really hard time trying to remove birds chirping, wind blowing, dogs barking, other people in the area, unless you don't mind that sound. But there are a good number of lapel mics that are available on Amazon, on Sweetwater. Just take a look around. I personally don't use a lapel mic, so I couldn't give you a recommendation as I don't use one. But I know there's a lot out there. There's got to be, right? I've seen a few. I just don't personally use them. And I don't know if they are the same as like our mics here. Like for instance, a shotgun mic would be better at reducing ambient noise in the room. I don't know if there's anything like that, but that's what I would look for, was something that would just possibly focus only on your voice or what's directly in front of it versus everything else around you. So you're not taking in all of the other noise as you're recording. Nirajan Voice says, very nice video posted. LOL, thanks, you were great. And that is in regards to record and sync your voiceover to video. Thank you. Rebecca says, thank you, Angela, for answering my question. I also wondered, what do you only take per finished hour projects, or do you take royalty share projects and audibles? I'm not sure if royalty share is worth the time, and with editing, I haven't really seen profit from royalty share yet. The trick to royalty share is really finding subjects that are not only interesting to you, but what might be interesting to other people, or if it's a author that already has a fan base, if it's an author that, meaning they already have maybe several books already published and they have a lot of people that follow them, maybe if they have a Facebook group or social following, that sort of thing, because they already have a built-in fan base that will purchase the book. Or to find a subject that's evergreen, self-help, backyard homesteading, stuff like that, that would be interesting pretty much any time, any season, not just maybe what's hot now, if that makes sense. But it's really hard to tell because, again, what you may find interesting, I may not find interesting, and vice versa, right? So do a little homework on the author and find out if they do already have a fan base, already have published books. That's what I would look for, and good rated books. That's what I would look for royalty share. Raquel Searchwell says, what great insight, not a deterrent at all. I'm so excited to start this journey. And that was what you should know about voiceover before you start. Let's see. This one was a try not to laugh challenge that I did. Just having some fun. Joseph Miller says, Angela, you rock. I got assigned a 600-page audiobook, and it's like eating an elephant. Where do you start? And there you were, like an angel, and with all good info. Bravo to you. Well, I'm glad that video answered your question. And it is. You have to eat the elephant one bite at a time. You start at the beginning and work your way through it. Some of those big ones are scary and daunting, but you can definitely do it. Rob Clifton VoiceOver says, thanks for the heartfelt message here. Thanks, Angela. And that's filling out your Fiverr profile experience when you have none. You're welcome. Kimberly Brown says, this is incredibly helpful and incredibly overwhelming. I chuckle because on another platform, people tout the ease of having a side gig by recording books. And there is a lot of information to ingest, learn, navigate. Not as easy as read, save, submit. I'm leaning into this learning curve. VoiceOver audiobooks have been a dream of mine. Can you share, and if you have, I'm new here, the baby steps you took? And how did you even begin this journey? I look forward to hearing back. Hugs. That's so cute. Wow, there is a lot to VoiceOver. It's not as simple as just buying a mic and talking into it. There's a lot of technical aspects to learn. There's a lot of acting that you need to learn. It helps if you have, especially for audiobooks, if you have a love for books, that definitely helps. There's definitely a learning curve for sure. And I have probably a good 2 years worth of baby steps to share. And they are mainly within all of my videos here. I don't want to forget, but it's basically, I found someone talking about narrating an audiobook a few years ago. And I said, wow, how awesome is that I get to not only read a book, but get paid to read it. And me being naive and not knowing the ways of the audiobook myself, I did a lot of research and I looked into it and I started to narrate for LibriVox, where I was volunteering my time, and I learned how to do the editing and the technical aspects of it. And once I get comfortable with that, I moved to ACX, and then I started there, and then I moved to Fiverr and Upwork. And then I would get requests on Fiverr asking if I could record their telephone greetings or character work or this or that. And then I started to expand my skill set from there. not just audiobooks, but voiceovers in general for video games, for just about anything that you can think of. I've pretty much voiced everything, I think, at this time, just about every type or aspect of voiceover. So it's definitely like a snowball effect. You start one place and then you start to branch out, you branch out, you branch out, you learn new things, and then now you can do just about anything related to voiceover. So it's definitely a snowball effect. Gene Coleman was asking about what do you mean by $30 for commercial and $40 for business? Is that for every time this airs? And that is in regards to setting up your voiceover gig pricing on Fiverr. And that is in regards to rights, usage rights. My rights are $30 for commercial and $40 for full broadcast, but you can use whatever price point that you want. And those are for commercial rights, or to use your voice anytime that your voice is used for business purposes in promoting a service, business, or product in a non-paid marketing channel, like a website, like social media, like YouTube, right? Full broadcast rights would be needed in addition to commercial rights if your voice is going to be used not only on those non-paid marketing channels like YouTube and social media, but then also promoted like Google ads, like advertisements, Google ads, Facebook ads, TV commercials, radio commercials, anytime that your voice is being paid to promote that business, product, or service. Hang on, did I just lose my train of thought? So the full broadcast rights in addition to commercial rights would be if your voiceover is being used in a ad of some sort. So, and that is for pretty much a one-time payment. So you would be paid upfront for those rights for usage. Or if you really wanted to, even in your Fiverr gig, you have custom gig extras. And then you can also include, if you wanted to, use in perpetuity for an additional cost as well. And that would cover the buyer of your voiceover to use your voiceover for whatever purpose, for whatever length of time, in whichever market they choose. So that is something in addition to those rights that you could add as well. I am Monkey Foo. A day ago says, "Hello, Angela. I love this video. I did the scan for amplitude statistics and my total RMS was 2404. So I raised the volume and then normalized to -3 dB. And for some reason it stayed the same when I scanned again. Any advice?" Oh, here's the weird thing. I tried raising the volume and then not normalizing it. The peak amplitude went up to -29 dB. I uploaded it to ACX Audiolab and it said no issues found. That's interesting. I think the Audiolab is, I want to say it even will take your files if they are within like a fraction of where they should be. Excuse me. It may round up, round down, if that makes any sense. But that's interesting that it took it. But I've heard the same thing about Noise Floor and RMS before with the Audiolab, ACX's Audiolab checker, is that it's not quite there on your end, but Audiolab says it's fine. But ultimately, that is the software that you need to get past. So if Audiolab says it's fine, then 9 times out of 10, it's probably fine. So I would just go with that. But if you are raising the volume and then normalizing to -3 dB, what you want to do is reduce the peaks that you see in your waveform, because RMS is essentially a average volume of your voice, is the average volume across that file. So if you have some errant, like high peaks, maybe your voice got really high, or, sometimes when we say A or something like that, that beginning of that word or the beginning of that sound is really sharp and high. So you'll have a couple of errant peaks that you can usually see in the waveform. What you want to do is reduce those peaks by either healing brushing them out make sure they still sound okay, or manually reducing the volume of those peaks, and then renormalize to negative 3 dB, and then check it again in your amplitude statistics. And that should help the volume stay consistent and then reach the correct range for the RMS. I hope that makes sense. But obviously, if you're looking for a average volume, any peaks are going to throw off that average, right? So you want to reduce those peaks, in essence. Last one here, David Brackett says, nice video. For a person new to VoiceOver, would you recommend recording with a 32-bit float recorder? The reason being is that it sounds so easy to not have to worry about audio levels while recording and adjusting them in post. You could record with a 32-bit and then change it to whatever it needs to be at the end. Of course, you can do that for sure. I find that most of what I do are usually audiobooks or voiceovers that need to be a small file size. So for me, I use 16-bit quite a bit just because it makes the file size small enough without completely destroying the audio quality. Obviously, the larger the bit size, the better the audio quality and the larger the file size. So you could totally record as 32 or 24 or even 16-bit. It's really up to you. And then save it when you're done as whatever file format that you need it to be. Absolutely. All right, now I'm going to try to go back to my normal face. My normal face. All right, so now let's just shoot back. Let's just shoot back to the poll really quick. All right, so 21 votes, 29% of you say Adobe Audition, 19% of you say Reaper, 5% use Studio One, and 48% use Audacity. Cool. Adobe Audition. All right, so let's go to the comments here, or to the chat. Filmmaker Klaus Kusero? Did I pronounce that right? Hi from Germany. Well, hello. He says, I use Logic Pro for my edits. Yeah, yep, that's right. That's what I was saying earlier. There was only 4 slots for options on the poll. Sorry, I ran out of spots. Logic Pro was one that I should have put other, maybe Audacity and other, but then I knew a lot of people would choose Audacity because Audacity is widely used. Maybe next time. Tone Chaser says, good morning, Angela. Hope you're doing well. I am doing well. Thank you so much. Like the video. Thank you very much for saying that. Please like. I would appreciate that. That tells the YouTube algorithm that you guys actually find what I'm talking about valuable. So they will help spread the word about me and show me to more people looking for this information. So liking the video does help. Thank you so much for noting that. Kirk says, back from the dentist in time to watch while I become unnumb, then back to the Amish. The Amish and the Englishers. Wow. I'm hoping it wasn't anything too invasive at your dentist. I hate going to the dentist. Andy Moore says, congrats on 9K. Thank you very much. I had just eclipsed 9,000 subscribers and it still blows my mind. It's amazing to me. Thank you, all of you that have subscribed and comment and like and have supported me over the last, God, it's almost been a year and a half now. And that's when Kirk said, you vanished. I hope I'm still okay. Andy says, okay. Jeanette says, yes. Can see and hear you good. Lil Rezon. I hope I pronounced that right. 'Tis working. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Kirk says, you're back. Good. Good, good, good. Scoremore says, I use both Reaper and Audacity. Are they for different purposes or do you use them both for VoiceOver and audiobooks? I would be interested to know. And again, if you have any questions or just want to say hi, please put it in the chat. I'm going to go through these and answer your questions. Cindy Windsor says, can you talk about doing dialogue voices of the opposite sex? Yes, I think that is a topic I'm asked about a lot when it comes to audiobook narration specifically. really, first and foremost, I would check with your rights holder on how they want you to handle the voices. Some rights holders don't want you to give their characters different voices, and some do. Some just want it read just to have the story read, and some want voices to differentiate the characters. And when there are different genders or even, gosh, I'm doing a book right now that's got a lot of different like magical creatures and cryptids and stuff in it. So having to find voices for all of them is challenging. Because how do you give a voice to a female Sasquatch? So I think it depends on a lot of factors. Mainly, I would try to determine what kind of attributes the character has. Because again, if it's a female, it's going to have a female voice. However, if it's a Sasquatch, it might not have the voice that you might think. It might have something a little bit more gravelly or gruff. Or it could be just a normal, complete normal female voice. So I think that might be muddying the waters here. But mainly, it's not so much about pitch. I think a lot of people get caught up on the pitch of different genders. Mainly, when we think of a female voice, we think of a higher pitch. But I don't have a high pitch voice. I have a very deep voice for a woman, I think. So, what you want to do is maybe study the way that the different genders or sexes speak. Men tend to be a little bit more upfront, not upfront, to the point, abrupt, you know. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it. And then women tend to be a little bit breathier. And then also it's about cadence and attitude. So you could give a personality to two different women with the same voice, but then have them speak in a different cadence, perhaps an accent. Perhaps one's a little bit snarky. Perhaps one's a little bit more subdued, right? You could differentiate characters that way as well, instead of just trying to get caught up on pitch. You could definitely drop the voice a little bit, an octave or two for like a male if you're a female. But really, it's about personality and attitude. What is the personality of the character? And also attributes. You know, for instance, picture in your mind like a male boxer. He's got a mushed in nose. Maybe he's missing a couple teeth. What is he going to sound like? You know, what is the voice in your head for that character versus a demigod, a female goddess, right? What is the voice in your head for that character? Maybe she's going to be floaty and breathy because she is a goddess, right? She's going to be very sure of herself. Whereas the boxer might sound a little bit different because he's got a mushed in nose. I mean, get creative with your voices, but it's not necessarily about pitch. It's more about attributes, attitude, personality. I hope that helps, but have fun with it. Experiment with some character voices. Tone Chaser says, the most important thing with the DAW is picking one and getting to know it as well as you possibly can. They all are capable of the same things. Yes, they are all capable of the same things. Some vary a little bit in terms of effects and maybe what their purpose is, but essentially they do pretty much all the same things. The basics that we need them to do. We need them to record, we need them to edit, and we need them to save the file in a particular format, whatever the client needs. So picking one that speaks to you, that makes sense for you, that feels right to you, that is easy to use for you. I think another reason that I chose Adobe Audition was, and I've mentioned this before, but some of the other voiceover artists that I followed in the beginning that I was taking a lot of cues from or watching a lot on YouTube were using Adobe Audition. So it made it easier for me to learn how to do what I needed to do by watching them and then, translating what they said or applying it directly to what I was doing on my end. It just made more sense for me, and it made it easier for me to learn a new skill and to do what I needed to do. So I think that was another reason why I chose Adobe Audition. But basically, you could choose whichever one that you feel most comfortable with, whichever one works for you. They all can do this job. Filmmaker Klaus says, "What what what do you why do I use a shotgun mic? For indoor, it is not the best solution because of the interference with which it produces the pickup pattern. I use a shotgun mic because I have a noisy room. My studio is on the ground floor, literally 15 feet maybe away from a playground outside. I have an electrical box in here. I have a computer right outside my door. I have a lot of ambient potential noise that I don't want to be picked up. So the shotgun mic for me works best in my situation because I want it to only mainly pick up what's directly in front of it, which is my voice, not so much what's behind it or to the side of it. And I've had some really good results with my 416. I really have. I would like to, I think, go. I talk about a Neumann U87 a lot, and I really would like to have one, but I don't know. When everything is just set up perfectly in your studio, you're just afraid to touch anything. That's pretty much where I'm at. I would like to try a U87, but they're expensive, and I don't want to make that investment if I'm going to be too scared to use it. So I think I'll stick with my 416 for a little while longer. It seems to work for me. Okay. But yeah, I would say use whatever mic that sounds good for you. But mainly, what's more important than your mic choice is your room. Treat your room as best you can, because whatever microphone you choose is just going to enhance your voice and your room, right? So treat your room as best you can, and then choose whatever microphone that you think is going to work best for you in your recording space. Lil Rizan, I hope I'm saying that right. Hi, Angela. You're the goat. I'm the GOT or GOAT. I don't know about that, but thank you. That's it. That's the comment. I appreciate you. Well, Rain Park says, hey, from Germany. We got Germany in the house. You guys are representing today. Okay. Oh, I just lost you again. Okay. Rain Park, it's great. Do you happen to know Mike Delgadio in person? I don't. I don't know Booth Junkie. And if you haven't seen Booth Junkie on YouTube, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you check out Booth Junkie on YouTube. He does great videos on a lot of the techie stuff in terms of voiceover, different microphone comparisons, interfaces, all kinds of stuff. I don't know him in person. I wanted to interview him for my YouTube channel a while back. I sent out an email to him. I didn't get a response. But, who am I to a guy who's got, 50,000 times more subscribers than I do? But he just did an interview with my coach, my former coach, Anthony Pica, and he really laid down some really great information. And if you don't follow a VO's journey on either YouTube or on his podcast, I highly recommend that as well. But that was a great interview. I would love to meet Mike. He sounds like a really cool dude. And I hope I will in the future for sure. But no, I don't know him. I wish I did. It's Miss V's world. Hello from Memphis. Hello, hello. I want to start VO doing meditations. Can I do that? You absolutely can do that. Oh, my gosh, this week alone, I think Fiverr has really started to promote my meditation gig on Fiverr. I have had so many meditation requests, orders, and questions in my inbox. I don't know what it is, but I'll take it. Meditations is one of the things that I do most. It's one of my specialties, along with other types of long form. I would say mainly I do audiobooks, e-learning, and meditations. Those are what I do the most. And meditations you can absolutely do. You can offer them as just your voice alone. You can offer them with music, or you can create video to complement the voice and music. You can offer all of these different services through Fiverr, Upwork, your website. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I highly recommend if you have a voice and you have the patience to slow down and narrate a meditation, you can absolutely do it. So go you, do it, and keep us posted on how you're doing. Andy Moore says, first DAW was a 12-inch tape machine. Wow. Chinograph pencil, scalpel, and tape. Then SoundForge, WaveLab, Cool Edit Pro for years and years. Now settling with Twisted Wave. Twisted Wave was another one that I've heard. Not often, but there are a lot of people that still use Twisted Wave, I believe. Wow, you've been in the business for a while. That's awesome. Oh boy, I just lost my spot again. Scoremore says, Audacity allows me to use the RX plugin easier than Reaper does. Reaper also allows me to edit videos. I do use them both for voiceover, though. Interesting. I have not heard. Actually, I do know someone that was using Reaper that had mentioned that the RX plugins work differently with Reaper. And I wonder why that is. But would you, well, I guess it's, if whatever works for you, I suppose. I don't have any feet to stand on to say what's right or wrong. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. But to me, though, it seems like it would be tough to bounce between the two different DAWs. But I guess if you're using them for two different purposes, I guess it would make sense. That's interesting. Oh, Lil Reason. Hello, Reason. I know exactly who you are. I told you I was going to give you a shout out. So here's your shout out. Reason is awesome. You guys, Reason is someone that I work with through my one-on-one coaching program. I mentor him and he makes my job so easy. He's like, he's got it. And he's amazing. I feel like I have nothing to do with Reason. He just, he's off and running already. I don't know what to do with this guy. I mean, he's awesome. Thanks for joining today, Reason. I know you're on your lunch break or something too, right? So I'll answer your question really quick. Question: how much time do you spend on average editing a book? I know it depends on the length of the book, of course. I would say my average right now is probably 2, maybe 3 to 1, meaning 2 or 3 hours per finished hour. You're right. It does depend on the length of the book, and it also depends on if there's characters, if there's lots of pauses in it. Sometimes it's a meditation book and it's got lots of pauses, or a children's book because they need to have pauses for page turning. They all kind of vary, but I would say I'm about 2 to 3 hours. Let's just say 2.5 hours per finished hour of audio, I think is roughly where I'm at. And that includes the narration, the editing, and the formatting. So I've pretty much got it down pat right now. So my process is pretty much as streamlined as it's going to get. But again, that took a lot of trial and error and a lot of practice, a lot of trying this and failing, trying this and failing, trying this and having it work, and just, a lot of just massaging, but I got it to work. So that's where I'm roughly at, about 2.5 hours to a finished hour. Thanks for joining again today, Reason. You're awesome. Junior's here. Hi, Junior. Hi. What exactly can a voiceover coach do to help voiceover talents? A voiceover coach can do a lot for you. My coach, Anthony Pica, I worked with him for about a year. And we went over, some ins and outs of starting and running a business, how to promote myself, some acting, working on some acting. I was working on a lot of my own cadence. I was getting into a lot of bad habits early on with reading and pausing and trying to make everything sound like it was a melodic, song rather than a voiceover. And also with not reading every single word, so you sound like you're reading every single word and then come off sounding robotic. It's there's a lot that a voiceover coach can do for you. And not only that, but teaching you things about your DAW and how to use your DAW, maybe ways that you can use your voice or improve your voice, maybe different avenues to use your voice or to seek out work for your particular voice or your niche, exploring different niches. It's just someone that is basically where you want to be and can help you get there by sharing what they know and what they have already been through and helping you improve, what you already have, the skills that you already have, and then expanding upon them, maybe showing you new things that you could be doing in the future or now. So there's a lot of experience and knowledge there that I didn't have that he really helped me with. So a voiceover coach can be really important for you if you're finding yourself maybe at a plateau or you're just starting out and you want to start out on the right foot. A voiceover coach, a coach for anything that you want to do is going to be huge. It's a fabulous investment in your future of your business. So I hope that answers your question. But there's a lot that a coach can do for you, for sure, in any aspect. Cindy Windsor says, thank you. That was very helpful. I was getting stuck on pitch. So much to think about. Yeah. And don't pigeonhole yourself or your characters. I always like to have maybe what I call a stereotype or an archetype for each different kind of character. Like in my mind, I have like the Barbie voice, I have the lumberjack voice, I have the surfer dude voice. And then those are like go-to voices that I know that I can sustain and then tweak them as necessary for each character and its attributes or accent or attitude, if that makes sense. So having those, I think, is a good starting point for developing a character voice as well. But don't get too caught up on, one particular voice and one particular voice, one of each gender. Really have some fun with it and try new different things. Listening to audiobooks and really listening to maybe children's books, cartoons. I mean, you can really hear those voice actors changing up their voices. And a lot of those voice actors on cartoons are the same people, just giving different character voices. That's really, really interesting. If you watch a documentary on, who's behind the character voices of cartoons, it's really interesting. And I lost my place again. Cindy Windsor also asks, I use Studio One because I was already using it for my music. Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, why, if it's not broke, right? Use it. Namo says, can I send you my samples and will be kind to give some little feedback? You know what would be better than just solely my opinion? If you have a Facebook group that you're a part of, like a voiceover Facebook group, and you're allowed to share samples, you could do that and get feedback from multiple sources and multiple levels of experience and knowledge and perspectives. So that would be, I think, more beneficial for you. And instead of just my humble opinion, you could have multiples and probably provide better feedback in that respect. Loki says, why won't you buy a whisper room? If I had the room in my little house, I would totally buy one. I just don't have the room. I don't have the room for one. But once I move into my next house where I have another bedroom or something that I can use to put it in, I will definitely buy one. I would probably go with the Studio Bricks VO edition, I think. But right now I live in a 3-story, 2-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse. It's Arizona, so I can't necessarily put the whisper room out in the garage because the garage gets, over 100 degrees in the summer. There really isn't a great place for me to put a whisper room, or I definitely would have one for sure. Filmmaker Klaus says, thanks. Another alternative is the Schweppes. God, my mouth is not working today. I'll have to check that one out. Is that, I'm assuming that's not a shotgun mic. So EPS V4. We'll definitely check that out, though. Thank you for that. First Person Audio says, I'm using a shotgun mic, too. I think I heard about it on your channel. It's a Synco D2. Yes, the Synco D2. From what I'm hearing, the Synco D2 is this guy, but a fraction of the cost. And from what I'm hearing, it sounds really, really good. Very, very close to the 416. And I think I've mentioned it a time or two. It's on my my website as recommended gear for sure. Demigod's Music says, would a U87 get you more better work than a 416? If not, why spend? Very true. I don't think... I've had this 416 for probably 2 years now, and it's one of the best investments I've made. It is an investment, but it's definitely paid for itself hundreds, if not thousands of times. Yeah, definitely thousands of times over. So it's, again, if it's not broke, why fix it? I think it's just the addiction. Once you start upgrading your gear, you're just like, you have this gear on a pedestal, and you're like, man, I really want that. Plus, it's a goal to work toward, right? Everyone's got to have goals. Even if you have everything you need already, you still have to have something to shoot for. And I think that, for me, is the U87. So, but you're right. Ultimately, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Demigod's Music says, also, oh, geez, I just lost you. U87 would be more likely to pick up the ambient noise. Yes, that I know it has a pad on it, but that is my main fear, is that the U87 is going to pick up the noise that I think is in here. Now, let me back up and say that I don't know if there is, in fact, a ton of ambient noise in this room. But what I can see while I'm recording, with all of my effects and processing and everything off, my noise gate, everything else, in the scheme of things, it's really not that bad. But to me, it's horrible, right? So I don't know if it's just my own, that I'm killing myself with that. Maybe I'm just being overly cautious. I don't know what it is. But the U87 is what I want. But do I need it? Probably not. First Person Audio says, Mike Delgadio has the word audio in his name. Yes, he does. He does. Yeah, and I think he had mentioned that in that interview with Anthony Pica, too. Pam Miller says, hi, Angela. Hi, Pam. I will be moving later this year and will have a great closet to set up. So for now, I only have a 3x3 closet. I haven't started yet. Do you think it is too small? I know someone who works out of a 2x2, I think it is. Kurt, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a 2x2 closet. 2 by something, 2x3, maybe 2x4. It's very, very small. I think the only thing to really keep in mind with something that small is the walls around you. Make sure that you treat the walls around you so you don't pick up the reverb, because it's going to be a whole lot easier for your voice to bounce around the room before it gets into your mic and cause that reverb. So just make sure that you treat the walls of your room in that little closet. But it should work. As long as you can fit everything in it, why not? Right? Tone Chaser says, Booth Junkie is the bee's knees. Yes, he is. That's my go-to for Reaper tech. I was already familiar with Reaper from my music endeavors, and I figured it wouldn't be great for VO, but his channel changed that. Yeah, he does use Reaper, and he said a few things in that interview that were really interesting to me in terms of how well Reaper actually does with VoiceOver that I didn't know. So again, that just goes back to doing your own research on the different DAWs that are out there and use the one that speaks to you, the one that seems to be, that just clicks, it makes the most sense for you. JCCAOL says, have you ever followed Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt? I would recommend their book, VoiceOver, Voice Action. They are very good to follow for anyone looking to get into video games and cartoons. I want to say that Yuri's name is familiar, but then again, my memory is absolute garbage these days. So I'm going to write that down. VoiceOver, Voice Action. Voice Action. I'm going to check that out, but absolutely. I've done a few video games, but none like in character voice. It's usually just been my voice or an AI voice. I do a pretty good like robot AI system voice. So that's mainly what I do for video games, but that is very good to note. So I am going to definitely check that out. Thank you for that. Red Cabin Acoustic says, cool, Cool Edit Pro to Adobe Audition, sometimes Reaper, usually Audition CS6 and an old MacBook Pro. Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of people use multiple DAWs for different purposes. That's interesting. I'm going to shoot back to the poll really quick. 33 votes. 30% of you use Adobe Audition, 12% use Reaper, 3% Studio One, and 55% Audacity. Cool. I just lost my spot again. Colin. Hey, Colin, you made it. Late, but you still made it. Hello, hello. Twisted 681 says, hello, Angela. I noticed your LLC and was wondering, would a business license be required or suggested? It's not required, but if you're going to make this a business and take advantage of all of the benefits having a incorporation or an LLC can give you for that business, the protections and all of that stuff, I would definitely recommend it. But if this is just going to be a side hustle that you occasionally do, maybe not. But if this is going to be something that you are going to make a lot of income on and spend a lot of time doing and make it your number one income source, I would definitely look into making it into a business, because taxes are going to be an issue. That's all I'm going to say about that. But it took me about a year and a half maybe. It was right around the time where I sought out a coach and I found Anthony that I started my LLC for sure. Score More says, have you ever done anime voice acting? I have not. No anime voice acting. Again, mainly what I've done is just my own voice, or like an AI, like in a think Mother in Alien, or like a system AI voice kind of. Score More says, I tried sharing my recordings on a Facebook and they told me I was trash and I would just quit. I should just quit. So you left the group, rightfully so. I think that is might not be a great group to be in. There are a lot of really great voiceover groups. I think there was one even dedicated to rating. And rating is a bad word to use, but they will actually tell you what they think about your samples and stuff. I forget the name of it. I think it's called Rate My Voiceover. I could be wrong. But there are hundreds of Facebook groups out there that are supportive and loving and will help you with everything that they can help you with and give you their honest opinion. So for you, I'd recommend maybe finding another Facebook group, because that is not the best way to handle someone asking for help. So, and I apologize that happened to you. That really stinks. First Person Audio says it's a 416 Lite, the Cinco D2. Yeah. Although I'm told it sounds pretty much the same. Mike Delgadio, I think, did a video on that, Booth Junkie, for the comparison between the 416 and the Cinco D2, and I didn't hear a whole lot of difference. Loki says, hey, Angela, do you have a schedule of any kind for your YouTube live videos? Just asking because I don't want to miss your upcoming live streams. Thank you. I appreciate you asking. This kind of turned into a weekly thing. So I'm going to stick with this platform. I'm going to stick with, I think, Tuesdays at this time. It's 10 a.m. my time, Mountain Time. But I'm in Arizona, so my time doesn't technically change. The time zones change around me. But I'm going to try to stick with this time every Tuesday. Whatever time that you caught me live today is the time that I'm going to stick to. And I have been neglecting my Thursday videos. And just because I've been so darn busy, but I'm going to try to get back into uploading videos for you, pre-recorded videos for you on Thursdays based on the questions that you ask and other information or stuff that comes up that I think that would be beneficial to you. So I think that's basically it. But live streams will be Tuesday at the time that you caught me live today. If that answers your question, I hope so. Johnny Miller says, Bandrew Scott has the ultimate addiction to microphones. Is it Andrew or Bandrew? Why does that name sound familiar? Is he on a YouTube channel as well? That name sounds very familiar, but I don't know if it's Bandrew or Andrew. Pam Miller says, thanks so much. You're very welcome, Pam. David Erozo? I hope I'm saying that right. Do you still use the DBX 286S? I have a DBX 286A, which slowly died. I switched to a Waves plugin channel strip called Shep's Omnichannel. Any input for this type of plugin? I do use... oh my God. I still do use the DBX 286S, mainly for the noise gate. And, I was just asked recently to not use any kind of processing at all with a client that I'm working with because they wanted to do everything on their end. And looking at my noise floor and everything else, I don't really think it was as bad as I'm making it out to be. So I don't know if I really truly even need the DBX. So I think it's up to you. I know the Universal Audio Apollo, the twin, has like all of these real-time effects that go in live with your recording. So, I mean, there's a couple of different ways that you could use these types of things, not just for the preamp aspect, but also for noise gates and for processing and effects. But other than my DBX, I haven't really used anything else apart from plugins into my DAW. And the one that you're talking about, channel strip called Shep's Omnichannel, I think this is a new one. Is this a new plugin? I think this is a newer one. I have not used it, but I think I've seen it before. I'll have to check it out. May make myself a note really quick. Shep's Omnichannel Waves. I'm going to have to check that one out. I don't have any experience with it, but I will definitely check it out for you. First Person Audio says, I record into my Zoom H6 and edit in Audacity. Interesting. Is it because you're maybe mobile? Or because you don't have a dedicated recording space? Or because you're doing podcasting? Be interesting to hear why. I think you need a new group at Scoremore, one with more supportive attitude. I 100% agree. 100% agree. JFree906 says, this is good for me. During my lunch, yes, I still have to do the 40-hour. Most of us do or did, I did for a long time. And you will get there if you put in the time and dedicate, the time to keep moving forward and to keep building your business. It will happen. But some journeys are a little different. I know mine was relatively quick. I understand that. And some take shorter amount of time. Some take a longer amount of time. But stick with it. Don't give in. Don't get discouraged. And just keep with it. And you will get there, my friend. Enjoy your lunch. Andy Moore says Bandrew equals podcast stage. Bandrew podcast stage. I'm not sure. Is that the YouTube channel? So he's addicted to microphones? Stage. I have to check that out. With a voice like this, Bandrew Scott has podcast stage. Okay, so you guys, okay. Cool. Thank you, guys. Colin says that's 5 p.m. UK time for anyone over here. Thank you for that. We're coming up on our hour, so I'm going to have to answer these last few questions here. Too Rich to Miss says, honest opinions are good, but should be provided with more support. We're all trying to find our way in this jungle. Yeah, absolutely. I think the consensus is, Scoremore, that you need to find another Facebook group for sure. One that is going to put their arms around you and give you constructive criticism, or maybe some suggestions or something other than telling you what they did. It's horrible. First person audio says, do you use a noise gate for ACX? I do. My noise gate is pretty low. It has pretty low threshold. It's almost barely there. And then I also use the NS1 for waves to help reduce anything else and to get the noise floor down to where it needs to be. So yes, I do. I use the my DBX's noise gate for just about everything. But again, it's very low, but it's just enough to keep the ambient noise out of the recording. John Steele says, hello, Angela. Hello, John. I just started using the loudness plugin from RX9 to hit ACX specs. There is an audiobook delivery in the dropdown. It works. Oh, really? In RX9? That's interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing. Too Rich to Miss says, the Synco D2 is a great mic. Loving mine for over a year now. Great. Lots of good recommendations for the Synco D2. Portobello Road says, have you tried Reaper software for recording? My Adobe is so old it won't work for newer computers. I have Adobe Creative on the Creative Cloud, so it's online. It's an online subscription that's constantly updating and improving. So it works just fine for my computer so far. Everything's been great. But I have not tried Reaper. I know there's a lot of people that I personally know that use Reaper and enjoy it, but I have not personally used it, no. Filmmaker says, so you burn the effects directly into your recordings or do you add them while editing? The only effects that is live while I'm recording into the microphone is my noise gate. That is the only thing. And it's, again, very low. And then I apply my effects when I'm editing in post. So the EQ, the waves NS1, the mouth declick, all of those deplosive, those are all added in post. Andy Moore says, Bandrew Scott, yes, he's the ultimate mic geek. We'll have to check him out. First person audio says, it's because it's quiet, no computer fan. It's more post-production work, but it's worth it for me. My room is sound treated, but not soundproof. Oh, I hear you. That definitely makes sense. That is definitely a surefire way to get rid of that computer fan. I don't blame you. Computer fan was the bane of my existence for like a good 2 years. Then I had to kick my tower out. So my computer, the tower itself, is outside of my room because I just couldn't get rid of that noise. The biggest issue for me was that noise. David Erozo says, with Adobe, I always save a file without effects. Then I run the rack for finished files. Erozo. Thank you. I do too. I save a raw file and then I save the finished file. Usually, most of the time with audiobooks. So I'll have the raw wave file without anything on it, and then I will have the finished MP3. However, for most of my other projects, for other voiceover things, documentaries, e-learning, what have you, I will usually, because everything is processed the exact same way, apart from audiobooks, I go ahead and apply all my processing. And then if I have to do a revision, then my revision is recorded with the same processing on it and then spliced in. So everything sounds uniform. So, but it's not, it's not bad practice to keep a raw file for the purposes of revisions and into making everything sound uniform when you make a revision, for sure. Actor J. Rival says, there is a different XML file for Audition. Where do we open that? I'm not sure what you're referring to. There is a different XML file for Audition. Where do we open that? I'm not sure what you're referring to, Jay. I'm sorry. With a voice like this says, I know it's more of a niche product because it's Windows only, but I use Cakewalk by BandLab as my DAW. It's got 30 years behind it, and it's now freeware. That's a new one. Cakewalk? Cakewalk. Thank you for sharing that. I always love hearing about this new stuff. Well, new to me anyway. Cakewalk. I have to check that out. Thank you. JFree906 says, I use the Rodecaster Pro for my live stream. Has a noise gate, but not adjustable that I have noticed. Yeah. Noise gates I find are very fickle. They're very hard to find the sweet spot for. If you can get away without using a nose gate, a noise gate, that is always preferable, because you don't want to process any more than you have to, because any type of effect, if there's too much of it, is completely going to destroy your voice, and you don't want that. So if you can get away with not using a noise gate at all, that is what you want to do. And don't just, I ran into someone the other day that used a noise reduction plugin just because everyone else was, but they didn't need it. And we're like, don't use it. If you don't need it, then don't use it. There's no sense in applying an effect to your voice if it's unnecessary. So if you don't need it, don't use it. First Person Audio says Waves NS1 is great. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my all-time favorite plugins. Scoremore says Booth Junkie has a Discord group you can join. He also answers questions on Reaper. Awesome. I didn't know that. I need to get on Discord then. Everybody else is on Discord. I need to get on Discord. With a voice like this, yep. That's awesome. Okay, cool. All right, last couple questions. First Person Audio says, I produced CDs in the 1990s using Cakewalk. Wow, that is really cool. I'm going to have to definitely check that out. David Orozo says, thanks for the great YouTube today. Have an awesome day to you and all. I agree. Everybody watching, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me for an hour and ask some questions and engage and support everyone else, because that's what I believe is going to help all of us through this. We're all here to lift each other up, to support each other, to help each other out. And if this is what you want to do, is this is your dream, you want to make this into your career, share what you know. Share the knowledge and expertise, your failures, your successes, share it with others and lift them up and help them reach their own goals. I think that's the best thing that you can do. And I'm so glad that you guys all join me today and do just that with and for everyone else. Actor J. Raval says, in ACX, when we click on download for an audition file, it isn't a simple document with script. Oh, yes. I see what you're saying now. I thought you meant Adobe Audition. So if you're downloading an audition in ACX to read, if it's in this HTML, it looks like it's just like in jumbled, doesn't make any kind of sense. You could go to Cloud Converter and convert that file into a Word doc or into a PDF. Or if you have the ability to do that on your end through your computers to convert it to a different format, you could do that. Or if you just can't do it and it just is not working no matter what you do, you can't convert it for whatever reason, reach out to the rights holder and tell them, I can't download your audition. Can you please re-upload it for me and everyone else trying to audition for this in either Word or PDF? That would be fabulous. That's typically what I do. If someone sends me an EPUB manuscript, I'll have to convert it into a PDF or a Word so I can actually read it, because I don't have an EPUB software reader on my computer. But Cloud Converter is a free website to go to convert files into different formats. Okay, last question. Alfonso Hunt says, what is a good resource to improve vocal quality? I am just starting this journey. Improve vocal quality in your own delivery or in post, meaning, fixing it after the fact with effects and editing. I think a lot of it just comes with practice, to be honest, in both respects. Learning to project your voice and use your diaphragm and use the volume of your lungs and push out your voice and project it and keep it level. If you're doing e-learning, something like that, and then editing to make your voice sound good with post effects, all of these things just come with practice and learning, I think. For me, it did anyway. So for you, if you're just starting out, I would say definitely get into YouTube, Research a lot of the YouTubers that are voice actors that share their information. Soak it all in. Join some Facebook groups where they talk about voiceover or audiobooks. Soak all that in. Ask questions and practice. Choose a DAW, read some copy, grab a book off your shelf and just read the back of it. Choose a random chapter of it. Just practice. Do a lot of practicing. And then at some point, get some feedback from the people in your Facebook groups or, and ask them what they think. And then go from there. But it really just comes with time and practice. Oh my goodness. A few more questions here. With a voice like this, you can open an XML in Excel or Google spreadsheets as well, and it should be readable at least. It's a good tip. Excuse me. Matthias R. says, "Hi, Angela. I am very frustrated because I can do VO in Spanish, but I struggle with English. Excuse me. And therefore, I feel that I can only do in Spanish. I'm not going to succeed." I would disagree with you. I think there are a lot of places where you can offer a Spanish voiceover because, again, voice actors are the voice of the world. We represent the world. And in the world, there are lots of different languages, right? So a Spanish speaker is needed for just as much as an English speaker, I would think. So create your Spanish-speaking gigs or profiles on all of the different voiceover websites that are available, and you should be able to find plenty of work. I don't think you should get down on yourself at all if you're a non-English speaker. If you can't do voiceover in English very well, then stick with your mother tongue and offer those services. I think that's just fine. I don't think you're going to fail at all. I think you will succeed. You just need to find those avenues that need your language. Actor J. Raval says, "Is there significance for this file since I am seeing a lot of them lately?" It might just be operation error on the author's part. I don't know. Maybe it's something that ACX has done in their updates that's kind of turned everything to mush. I really don't know. I haven't been on ACX in the last maybe month or so in terms of looking for auditions. So I don't really know, to be honest. Oh my gosh. Okay, Colin, you're the last one. Okay. Thank you, Angela. Great live stream as always. I'll have to watch the replay to catch up on what I missed. Thanks, Colin. I appreciate you. I've had the same recently with ACX. I just noticed the rights holder and got it resent. Notified the rights holder and got it resent. So you're not the only one, Jay, that's noticing that these auditions are being uploaded or what's the word I'm looking for? Or posted in this type of format. But I think reaching out to the rights holder is probably going to be in your best interest and just saying, hey, what you've got posted here for the audition is just absolutely unreadable. If they can even copy and paste it in, that might work too. Actor J. Raval says, makes sense. Yeah. Thank you. Kevin, really quick. Kevin says, I had the same problem with XML files. I would download an audition on my phone and it came up as a zip file. If you go in to rename it and remove the .zip, it leaves the docx files, which will open. I forgot about that. I've tried that once or twice and it didn't work, but it's probably operator error on my part. But I've heard that that does work. But for me, I'd rather just not fuss with it and just convert it and be done. So there's a couple different ways that you can go about opening up the document so it's readable. But ultimately, you can always reach out to the rights holder and ask them to re-upload it as well. Filmmaker Klaus says, may I post the link to my comparison between the Neumann U87 and the, is it Schweppes? Schweppes, the V4. It's in German, but with guitar singing and an actress. Is it like a YouTube video? I don't see why not. I mean, go ahead. I mean, I'd be interested to hear the difference for sure. All right, everybody. Andy says, thanks. Have a great week. I agree. Everyone have a fabulous week. And thank you again so much for joining me today and spending a little time with me and everybody else here in the chat. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video. And I'm going to try to have another video for you on Thursday. I'm going to try to get back into that rhythm of live streaming Q&As on Tuesday and then having another video for you on Thursday. So everyone